As additional information regarding the Angie Stone case comes out, it appears that there is a significant degree of cover-up taking place because so many things that are happening in the case don't make any sense at all. We've been told that Angie died when the van she and her teammates were in overturned, but new eyewitnesses are now coming forward to say that she died from the van that struck her after she was removed from the collision, not the original collision. Angie was attempting to exit the van prior to the collision. So does this imply that she was aware that something was amiss? Additionally, where is the truck driver that struck her? This is a really murky situation. So let's examine it in more detail on March 1st, 2025. After a Mardi Gras show in Alabama, Angie and her group were driving back down the interstate in a Sprinter van. They had been in town filming a new project in the region, but they decided to take a moment to enjoy the festivities. It was supposed to be a brief stop, take a little vacation. The ride began as usual before getting back to work, but then everything went awry. Suddenly, the van lost control and flipped over, frightening all 9 passengers. But fortunately, no one was seriously injured. As they were trying to process what had happened and called for assistance, the situation took a much darker turn when a semi-truck traveling at full speed down the highway slammed into the wrecked Sprinter, crushing it on impact. At first, it appeared to be just a horrible accident, a terrible case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But as the days went by, people couldn't get rid of the feeling that something wasn't right. The more they thought about it, the more the details didn't add up. How did the truck not see the wreckage? Why was it? The force of the collision was catastrophic, and regrettably, Angie didn't survive. She was the only one who died that night. Her loved ones were devastated. Sharita Murphy, a woman who had been in the van that night, came forward with a shocking twist. The Sprinter's driver had been speeding. She claimed that Angie told him to slow down, but instead of listening, he sped up and began to move so fast in an area where traffic had probably slowed. She also asked why Angie was the only one who didn't make it. Questions quickly turned into theories, and soon suspicions began to spread. Reports state that a few moments later, the van lost control, flipped, and started a series of events that would culminate in catastrophe. On Facebook, Sharita Murphy, one of the 8 passengers in the vehicle with Angie Stone, wrote, "We are blessed to be alive." Angie Stone is credited with maintaining her composure throughout the event, claiming that the van driver's excessively rapid driving prompted her to ask him to slow down. But he refused, causing the vehicle to flip 3 times before. After learning that Angie Stone had been killed in an 18-wheeler collision, what had seemed to be a tragic accident suddenly felt much more suspicious. Was it really just a case of careless driving gone wrong? Or was there something more sinister going on as more people began to inquire? After several explanations were put up, and the mystery surrounding Angie's death only deepened, a video suddenly went viral and completely altered the course of events. A woman was seen on tape claiming to be She and her daughter were traveling down the highway when they noticed the overturned van on the side of the road. She felt compelled to pull over and investigate, so she did. As she approached, she heard people screaming, panicking, and hurt, but they were all alive, including Angie, who was still breathing.
We slowed down some, and that's when I noticed there was an overturned vehicle in the fast lane. And it looked like it just happened. I pulled over and put my flashers on, and I told my daughter to stay in the car. And I ran over. It was a van, and I ran over, and there were so many people in this van, and they were just trying to get out. And I asked if they called the cops, and they said we're just trying to get out. And they were helping this woman out off the side of the van, and I grabbed her hand and I helped her get down, and she seemed out of it and was holding
She succeeded in removing Angie from the van, and for a moment, there seemed to be hope that she was hurt but alive. They were attempting to decide how to get help and keep everyone safe. But before they could even come up with a plan, the woman felt something pass by. Suddenly, everything changed when a huge semi-truck, seemingly out of thin air, came hurtling toward them. Before she could react, it crashed directly into Angie, and she was gone.
Down. And then the next thing I know, I flew and I fell down to the ground, and it felt like something not ran over me but brushed over me. Like something just swiped over my body. And I got up and I could hear screaming, and I just focused in on one screaming, and it was my daughter. And all I could do was run across the highway and tell her to get.
Angie survived the first crash, was pulled to safety, and was struck again a few moments later. The odds of that occurring naturally are not adding up. The math is not mathy, and the more information that comes to light, the more it seems like this wasn't just some strange tragic accident. This was strange on many levels. Something about the whole thing isn't quite right. However, that's not all. The truck driver who struck Angie has also been reported missing, and no one can get in touch with him, according to one source. According to the source, howdy, I used to work at the same trucking companies. I don't believe the man who collided with the Sprinter van that struck Miss Stone while she was receiving medical attention on the side of the road will be able to return to work because the incident has tortured him, and he isn't answering the company's calls or texts. My wife contacted his wife to offer assistance after we found out that he had turned in the rig and departed. When I consider all the information at my disposal, my old boss claims that he came upon the wreck too quickly to make the necessary adjustments to avoid it. I'm shocked that he hasn't been at fault. There is a long history of drinking, so I'm not pretending to be Perry Mason with the resources to solve a case, but I thought I'd reach out. Additionally, reports indicate that the truck driver's route from Mobile to Birmingham didn't require a stop near mile marker 162 unless detoured or directed, and FMCSA data indicates that there were no mechanical issues reported on the Freightliner before March 1. So what was the truck driver doing on that route in the first place? And more importantly, why has he vanished completely? No one seems to know where he is, and that in and of itself is raising suspicions. Should this have been merely an accident, why would he enter? Now that concealment has occurred, it feels more like a complete cover-up than a tragic coincidence, since there are still too many unresolved issues. A great deal of illogical detail and almost no openness when fans ask for explanations. They only receive silence. Was Angie's passing genuinely a sad accident, or was there something more sinister at work? The real issue is whether we will ever learn the truth, or if this is one of those cases that will always be a mystery. Rippy, Angie Stone. Her death was very suspicious, and I'm saddened to hear that she survived the first crash, which wasn't even a crash. The van she was thrown into the median, where she was being assisted by another woman before being struck by a semi-truck as it crossed the median. You guys don't think Angie Stone's death is suspicious. I wonder how much they're paying the driver of the truck that crashed into her car. Wasn't she pursuing Jews for her catalog? What's even more tragic about Angie Stone's death is that she was speaking out against injustices in the music industry, and by sad, I mean extremely suspicious. There are many things that don't add up here, like the speeding van, the driver ignoring Angie when she asked him to slow down, and the fact that it all looks suspicious. But do you really think Angie was taken out deliberately? Or is this just one of those cases where people are drawing connections that aren't there? Are we looking at a tragic freak accident Or is there something much deeper going on? Leave your thoughts in the comments section and then watch this next video.